Welcome, wonderful people. Welcome back to part 2 of my TV and movie episode. But before we continue, I invite you to stay with me throughout the video, because I will reveal more about the love story that will come after part 3. We last left off with the amazing Pippi Longstocking, who was probably my first fictional crush. But let's continue on to the Smash TV series, MASH, which for our youngsters was a TV series about the Korean War. I want it to be clear, I loved that show. However, it was a mixed bag of lessons. It taught many good lessons such as compassion, tolerance, and the importance of diversity, the evils of racism, the horrors of war, that women could be strong even if they felt weak, and a person could even grow beyond their shortcomings. However, it often showed the womanizing Hawkeye, who could get away with whatever he wanted through his charm and cunning. He had a lot of positives, though, that outweighed his character flaws. The nurses were also overly sexualized. Heck, even Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan. Most damaging of all was Maxwell Q. Klinger, played by Jamie Farr. The character himself was fine, and he was lovable. You cared about him, but his character was comic relief that portrayed transgenderism as something to be mocked, feared, or pitied. While his character's cross-dressing was motivated for him getting a Section 8 discharge, his portrayal was damaging to us. Another mixed bag of a show was Bewitched. Such a funny and interesting show. Here was this beautiful witch with almost godlike powers being repressed by her mortal husband, Darren Stevens, and forced to live the Stepford life out of sense of supposed love. The wrong lesson was being told. Love shouldn't be conditional, and mutual respect should be equally given. Of course, sometimes that was the theme of the episodes. As I watched the show, I remember wanting to be a witch like her. Of course, I knew warlocks were a thing in the universe, but that never crossed my mind. Perhaps back then I secretly wanted to be a powerful woman, being beautiful, and rebelling against sexism. Sadly, I could never get my nose to twitch like Samantha Stevens. Nanu. Then there was Mork and Mindy, a show about Mork the Mork, played by the legendary Robin Williams, who shacks up with Mindy, played by Pan Dauber. Mostly comedy, with some more lessons and drama thrown in. This was one of those great shows of the 70s and 80s. This show questioned gender roles between the relationship of Mork and Mindy. He even gave birth to Mindy's child, hatched out of an egg. Mork's unique, innocent perspective questioned many things in our society. Some episodes did make fun of feminism, sadly. However, Mindy was a strong female lead, and not only grounded Mork, but also showed women in a more positive light. At least, that is how I remembered her. My sister wanted Robin to be our father. I don't blame her, but my mom said he would have been too much for her. Then there was the groundbreaking Star Trek. The show wasn't perfect, and there was some old ways of thinking, but it boldly broke many conventional norms, and it tried to be very inclusive for its time. In that universe, racism wasn't a thing, equality was the norm, and all Earth nations lived in peace. However, they would address such problems in episodes through plot situations that arose from the backward-thinking planets they visited. Women were considered equal to men, or even superior in that universe, with many women in command positions, some ranked commander or higher. I remember a gender-bender episode where Kirk swaps minds with a former jilted lover, although some of his portrayals of a woman trapped in his body was sexist. But still, it was an interesting concept that would spark my wishes down the road. Old world thinking did slip through the cracks via the scripts of different authors or through an actor's or actress's performance. But I think this was not the intent of Gene Roddenberry or Lucille Ball. That's right, the beautiful Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy was not only a groundbreaking actress herself, but also helped create Star Trek through her company Desilu Productions. Lucy was another strong female character that influenced my life. She was totally flawed, made mistakes all the time, and unfortunately had to portray herself as a product of her time. However, Lucy was hilarious, cunning, and smart. Once she had her mind set on doing something, there was nothing stopping her. She was a force to be reckoned with. The show even had early elements of diversity, like her Cuban husband, Ricky, played by Desi Arnaz, both in show and real life. These are just some of the early memories that formed my understanding of being a woman, or what should be a woman, through media, even before I understood that's what I was on the inside. Now I want to hear from you. How has media affected your views of what it means to be a trans woman, a trans man, or even non-binary? I know I covered mostly female role models, but what about male role models if you're a trans man? What men did you look up to? How did you feel about those characters and shows? I would love to hear from you all. I know I covered mostly female role models, but what about male role models if you happen to be a trans man? What men did you look up to? How did you feel about those characters and shows? I would love to hear from you all, and I hope you stay tuned to the end for a surprise. Now, before I leave you, I want to give a general shout out to all my patrons. Also, if you found this to be entertaining, helpful, or meaningful, then don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell, and to check out my Patreon, link down below in the description. All are ways that you can help support this content. Now remember, stay tuned for part 3, and as promised, I will now reveal more of the love story to come afterwards. It's a story that takes place many years ago on the beautiful island of Okinawa, with its beautiful beaches, beautiful flora and fauna, and of course, its beautiful people. It's a tragic love story told only to a handful of people, full of emotion, and hard for me to tell. But I must tell it. I must tell this story, so I may heal. My name is Tobie, and as always, stay safe. I love you all, and I think you're all wonderful.